Are you interested in learning how to make a senior shirt similar to this in Cricut Design Space or Silhouette Studio? In this video, I'm going to show you how you can make a shirt very much like this in Cricut Design Space. If you'd rather learn in Silhouette Studio, check the video description under this video and I will have a link to a separate video there. Now, I made this shirt on one of my YouTube lives. I think it turned out super cute. I had some issues during the live. I wanted to do a step-by-step tutorial to show you exactly how you can do this too. If you're interested in that, sit back, relax, and let's get started. I'm going to start by opening Cricut Design Space, and when it opens, I'll click on New Project. Now before I start the actual tutorial, I want to show you a font that's very similar to the look that I'm going for, but I'll show you why it won't work for this project. Let's click on text. I'm going to type 2025. Let's make it larger so you can see it. And then I'll go up here to font, click this down arrow, and I'm going to be using a system font. I don't pay for Cricut Access, and so I don't want to use those fonts. So I'll click on system. Now the name of the font that is very similar to what I want to do is called Varsity Regular. Let me click on it so you can see it. Now you see this outline, then a gap, and then the number. That is exactly the look that I'm going for. However, I want my outline to be a different color than the numbers. Because this font is all one layer, if I click on it, I can't contour those apart. And so that's why I had to come up with my own way to make this. So now let's get started on the tutorial. Now in my shirt, I'm going to have 2025. So I'll click right here on text, type 2025. I'm going to go back up here to the font, and this time I'm going to use this AB Sports Varsity. Now I got this off of Creative Fabrica, and it said it was a Windows only font. I'm using a Mac, and it works perfectly fine. It's just that you see all these question marks. We're going to use it today. If you want to pick out a different font, there are a lot of fonts on Creative Fabrica that are similar to this. So we'll click on it. And then let's go ahead and move this up and make it larger. Now you notice that these are pretty close together, and I want to have that outline. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and ungroup these. So with it selected, I go right here and I'll hit ungroup. Now I can move these letters apart. And if I want to, I can move them individually. But what I can do is just start to move them apart. Select all of them and go up here to align and distribute horizontally. I don't think that's quite enough space, so let's move it over some more. I can just move one of them, and then when I use that distribute function, it'll make the gaps in between equal. So I'll click align and distribute horizontally again. That looks pretty good for now. I might need to move it apart, but let's go ahead and get it to the right size. I want the width of mine to be about 9.5 inches wide. Let's go ahead and start with 9. Because this padlock is locked, when I hit enter, the height will also change. All right, I want my height to be more like about 5 inches. So let's go ahead and now unlock the proportions, and we'll just change the height to 5. Now that looks a little bit unproportional, so let's go ahead and change this to 9.5. Okay, I think that looks close to perfect. Now that I like the size, let's go ahead and select everything, and I'm going to go down here to Combine and Unite. This is similar to Weld, except that Unite can be undone without having to go back. So I like to use that instead of Weld most of the time. So here's the first layer that we need. Now we need to get that outline with some space in between, and here's how you do that. With this selected, you go to Offset, and I'm going to make my offset a lot smaller. That actually looks pretty good. Let's go just a little bit smaller. I think that looks great. Now the one thing I don't think looks great is that these have rounded corners, and my font is very squared off, so I'm going to click right here. With it selected, I'm going to say Apply. With the offset still selected, I'm going right back up to offset, and let's make it a little bit larger. I'm just going to eyeball it. I like that. I'm on the correct side, so I'll say Apply again. Now let's change that a different color so we can really see what's going on. The next step is for me to either move this down, or I could go over here and I could just turn it off. But I like to just move it down. Now I'm going to select both of these layers and I'm going to hit Slice. All I want to keep is this red outside. Let's move it out of the way, and then I can select everything else and hit Delete. So that was really easy, and look how good this looks. Let's go ahead and select both layers and get those centered up. Now, it wouldn't matter what colors these are, but for me, I like to change them to the colors I'll actually use. That way, when I'm using my cutting machine to cut these out, I'm going to have a picture of the color of HDV I need to put on my mat. So let's select the outside, and that's going to be gold. And then I'll select the inside, and that's going to be maroon. So I'll go right up here and change it to a dark red. If I wanted it darker, I'd click right here, and I can just drag this down, and when I release it, the color that's within the circle shows up here. I think that looks great. All right, let's make this a little smaller so that we can see everything going on. I'm also going to move it up to the corner, or at least up to the top. Now at this point, you could either type a name. For me, I'm going to type Gracie. But if you wanted to be able to make a lot of these and not have to redesign each one, you could use your local high school mascot. So if your mascot was the Tigers, you could type Tigers here. For me, I'm going to type Gracie. I'll go right back over here to the text tool and I'll type out my name. For the word Gracie, I want it to be a really cute script font. So I'm going to go back up here, and this time I'm going to search for the font Bastion. I have two Bastions. This is the one I really love. I should just get rid of this one. This is the one I really love. I got it from Creative Fabrica, and I'll link it below in case you're interested. Let's go ahead and click on that. So you can see this is a really, really pretty script font. Let's make it larger. And then let's change it a really light color so that you can see there are cut lines here. If I sent this to my machine without doing anything else, I'd have cut mark here, here, and here. So let's select it, go over here to combine, and I'll hit unite. Those cut lines went away. Now I want this to be wider, maybe a little taller too, but mainly wider. So I'm going to go up here and unlock the proportions, and then I can just drag it wider. And let's move this up into place and see what I think. And what I think is it needs to be a little taller also. Let's drag this down. And I'm going to make it still a little bit wider. Now I could either just hand place this where I want it. Maybe I want it at the bottom like the shirt that I showed you. Maybe I want it inside. Either way will work. I tend to like it at the bottom a little bit more so that you can clearly see that this is 2025. But it would work in the center also. Now I want my letters to be partway on and partway off 2025. So that looks pretty good there. Let's go ahead and select both layers or all three layers, and let's say align and center horizontally. Now I'm pretty happy with that, except I'm going to move Gracie up just a tiny bit, just so I get a little bit more maroon here peeking out. It's not much, but I like that just a little bit better. I'm also going to move it to the right just a tiny bit. Now we're ready for the next step. I could leave Gracie like this and slice it out of 2025. If I do, you're not going to have any gap between Gracie and the numbers. And I want just a small gap there as well. What I'll do is I'll select Gracie, and then I'm going to go right back up to that same offset tool. And we're going to have a really small offset. Let's move this down to 0.06 and hit enter. I'm going to put it over here on the rounded side since these are rounded letters, and I'll say apply. I'm going to change that to white just because I think we'll be able to get a better visual with it being white. So that's what it'll look like. Go ahead and change it back to black. That way we can see it really well. All right, let's go ahead and move the part of Gracie that's actually going to be cut out of HTV down. And I'm going to make my screen smaller. And now we're going to make a copy of this. So we'll select everything, hit Command-C for copy, Command-V for paste. Now you might have a better way of doing this step. This is just the way I like to do it. What I'm doing is I'm going to slice the offset of Gracie out of the maroon over here and out of the yellow over here. I don't need the yellow layer over here, so I'll select it and hit delete. And then over here, I don't need the maroon. Let's see if I click there. Is that the maroon? Nope. Let's go back. Let me hide that. Now I should be able to select the maroon really easily. And now I can bring that outside layer back. We'll select 2025. That is only one layer, which is very important because you can only use the slice feature when you have two items selected. I have the maroon selected. I'll hold down the command button, add the offset of Gracie to it, and I'll hit slice. And all I want to keep out of this is right here. So let's just select this and delete it. Now let's check this one. That is all one layer, so it's one item. We'll hold down Command, add the offset of Gracie to it, and we'll hit slice again. All we want over here is the yellow layer. So let's get rid of this. Let's move this up, and then we'll hit align, and let's center it both vertically and horizontally. Then we'll move Gracie up into place. And this is exactly the look I was going for. At this time, I'm ready to go ahead and start cutting this out. Now, I'm not going to show you that whole process and bore you to tears, but I do want to show you something in Cricut Design Space. I'm going to click Make, and let's go ahead and save it. Now, it's prompting me to cut the Gracie layer first, which is fine. But the thing I want to show you is when I hit Continue, and then I select my vinyl, my HTV, I click on that. Notice that mirror toggled on all by itself, and that's because typically you do mirror HTV or iron-on. All right, let's go ahead and cut this out, and then I'll show you how you layer it on your shirt. Now these can be just a little bit tricky to weed, and so if you need to refer back to your computer to see the design, go ahead and do that. Better safe than sorry. We have our gold outline. We have our maroon inside. Now, I'm not going to lay these perfectly right now. I just want you to have a general idea. And then we have the name Gracie. The first layer that we're going to do is this outside layer. When I made this shirt on my live, I made the mistake of folding the two sticky sides together to find the center. This time I'll do it the right way, and I want to get the sides of this together. Then at the top and the bottom, where there's no vinyl, I can make a crease. That should be the center. And I can see from weeding it, I have two tiny little gold pieces missing. Hopefully that doesn't make this look bad. When you're weeding, be more careful than I was. All right, let me hold this up, take a look at it. This first layer is part of a multi-pack that I bought. And when I got it, I wrote the instructions. It's a cold peel, and you do it at 305 for 10 to 15 seconds. I'm going to go ahead and press this on. I'll be right back. Because this is going to get 2 more presses, I went ahead and did it just for the 10 seconds at 305. So I went with the minimum time and the minimum temperature. This is still warm and it's a cold peel, so I'm just going to have to be patient or put a ceramic or a porcelain tile on top to pull out that heat. By doing this outside layer first, you have the outline for everything else you need to put on here. Let's take a little peek. That is coming off perfectly fine. Now it's time for the second layer. This is a Caesar Easy Weed. I'm going to go ahead and keep it at 305 for 10 seconds. That looks good. Let's go ahead and press the second layer. This maroon layer is a warm peel. Now for our final layer, let's go ahead and put Gracie on. Now I need to see what temperature this is supposed to be pressed at. Let me find my box. This is some Hippo HTV. I don't even know if they still sell this, but it does say a temperature of 285 to 305, medium pressure, 12 to 15 seconds, and cold peel. My heat press is on 305. It's set for 10 seconds. I'll go ahead and bump it up to 15. Then when this comes off the press, we'll let it cool all the way back down. Also, my HTV rod has a Teflon sheet attached to the top platen, so I don't have to worry about all of this exposed getting attached to the top platen. If you don't have a Teflon sheet on yours, I would suggest go ahead and put a Teflon sheet over this to protect it from that heat. Now, I don't like the fact that the edge of this carrier sheet is on my vinyl. So I'm going to put something between those two layers. I could either put another Teflon sheet, or in this case, I do have this parchment paper. So I'm just going to sneak that under there. And hopefully this will protect the vinyl underneath of it somewhat from getting a press mark where this carrier sheet ends. We'll find out in a minute. Before I press this, I noticed that that carrier sheet was also in the middle over here and over here. So I added 2 more pieces of parchment paper. Now remember, this is a cold peel, so we'll let that cool off a little bit more. You can fan your shirt, you can put a tile on it, or you can just have a good old-fashioned patience. Let's go ahead and see if it's releasing. Okay, it is releasing. Now I do want to warn you, if you have something and it says it's a cold peel, and if you take it off too soon, you can stretch your HTV, and then it'll have kind of wobbles in it, or little waves in it. So be sure and wait long enough so that doesn't happen. This looks pretty good, but I can see the marks where the carrier sheet was there, as well as here and here. Let me show that to you. Hopefully with one more pressing, those will even out some. I don't know if they'll go all the way away, but I'm going to go ahead and press this one more time for 10 seconds. And fortunately, for the most part, those really did go away. I can see a slight indentation right there, a slight one here, but for the most part, they did go away. I think it looks great. So let me know, is this something you're going to try? Are you going to personalize it with the name down here in the middle? Are you going to use a school mascot so you can make many of these without having to redesign each time? Let me know what you think. So thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, leave them in the comment section below. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider doing that. If you do, tap that bell and then select the all notification. That way YouTube lets you know anytime I upload new content.